On expected lines, India pick up the points. India make it 2 out of 2 games. They were certainly expected to win in this ICC Men's T20 World Cup, but not games that didn't give them a cause or two to just be concerned about. More than concerned, just hope that they're firing on all guns before they have the higher stakes of the Super 8s, and before that, of course, the big group stage game against Pakistan. We'll cover key points of this India-Namibia game, and full marks to Namibia for putting on a serious effort. We covered that to quite a degree in our mid-show. This is ESPN Cricket for Timeout's post-match analysis in the fine company of the A to Z of the school of batting. Between Cheteshwar, Pujara and Carlos Brathwaite, all batting education can be done. Whichever format.
He's A to Y and M Z.
No. You're being humble. You're champion. Yeah. You're both humble. But we like to service all fans. So if you're a fan who says, I don't care about T20 cricket, I watch Test cricket. Or a fan who says, Test cricket is boring, I like power hitting in T20 cricket. Look, the ambassadors are here. Okay, let's talk about this game first and foremost. Let's start by just, the result was expected lines. But if you were looking at this from an Indian fan's point of view, or even sitting in the Indian dugout, Puji, have you ticked every box you'd like to before you now play a big game against Pakistan?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there is a lot to work on. One thing I felt that Indian batters batting against spin wasn't up to the mark. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying that it was bad effort, but I still feel that the kind of potential the Indian team has, and we have also seen even in the first game against USA, the batting hasn't clicked as what's expected out of them, and it's going to be a long tournament, and we do expect slightly better results when it comes to batting unit. What India will have to do is try and have a chat with the batting unit. I feel that the main focus is on the next game as of now. Obviously we are looking at the T20 World Cup, but the main focus is India-Pakistan, which is on 15th. What can Indian batters do? I think they will have to focus on rotating the strike, try and play less risky shots. Yes, you still need to take risk in T20 format, but if the pitch is turning like what it does
in Colombo,
where you will have to figure out options where you are just playing a normal sweep shot, just trying to go over cover, try and go flat rather than just try and hit 4s and 6s. If the pitch is on the slower side, then Indian batters will have to work hard. They will have to take singles and doubles, and that is something which I haven't seen. And maybe at Delhi you don't need that, but at Colombo they will need that.
So better shot selection against spin. That is something you definitely like to see. All right, same question, Carlos. Whether there are still boxes that India need to tick.
So I don't repeat exactly what you say. I think from a bowling perspective, do you want to get Kuldeep in? And if you do, where does he come in? Or do you go for Washington Sundar for extra spin? Heard that being flirted with on the commentary. Washington for Rinku Singh, where you can offer a little bit of batting in the bottom, but you have an extra spinner for a few extra overs. So I think transitioning out of India and into Colombo with bigger boundaries, potentially a stickier pitch, do you want to go in, this is my best 11 regardless of surface, or do you think horses for courses, I may need to leave out Arshdeep, I may need to leave out Rinku Singh, and either go Kuldeep, which I think is the attacking option as we said mid-game, or we go Washington Sundar, which proficient enough as a batter, but can also give you some overs of off spin.
Okay, let me put in a couple of other questions here, specifically in what India tried to do in this game. And I must say it got me a bit surprised, because I don't know if against higher ranked opposition, India would bowl no Jasprit Bumrah or no Varun Chakravarthy in the power play. And Namibia were 57 for 1. Arshdeep has bowled 3, Shivam Dube has bowled in the power play, Hardik has bowled a couple. I certainly don't believe this is India's go-to plan against bigger opposition. Did you see sort of any merit in it? Do you sense they were trying to put themselves out of their comfort zone in this game?
Yeah, I think I'm guessing they are planning for the next game, because Hardik will have to bowl some overs in the power play if Arshdeep is not playing. If they are leaving Arshdeep out, then Hardik has to open with Jasprit and another spinner to bowl in the power play. So I think that was more tactical for the next game, also trying to put them under pressure, see who bowls well in the power play, whether it's Hardik or Shivam Dube. They give opportunity to both the bowlers and see who can bowl well in the power play for the next game. So I think they are looking at the next game and then trying to figure out who is your best option in the power play.
The question I want to ask both of you is, I thought this is what bilateral cricket before the World Cup should be about. This is a World Cup game, and you never want to be on the receiving side of an upset or a result like that. And do you sense that that was required? Wouldn't you rather have seen India use their plan A, their go-to plan in the first two World Cup games?
I think there's a couple angles you could look at it. Namibia would want you to quote unquote respect them and go full guns blazing. India, however, may say, you know what, we think 210 is enough, and we know we have a fail-safe as Jasprit Bumrah. We need to also see what are our options moving forward, because this may have been the best 11 for today, but it may not be the best 11 moving forward.
Okay.
So they're trying things, and we can't tell the opposition what to do. So if India thinks it's in their best interest to try things in this game, they're well within their right to do it. I just think if they were only defending 160, probably they wouldn't have.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a good plan, because in a T20 format, you don't want to be conventional all the time. You still need to explore all your options. If it was a big game, then I can still understand you don't need to experiment, but you also need to look at what you want in the next game and going forward in the T20 World Cup. So I think that was the right call. I don't doubt that. But they will need to have enough clarity for the next game, because even if Arshdeep is left out, he will be needed at in the game after that. So if Arshdeep is left out, he should be having a clear communication that this is just for this particular game. If that doesn't happen, if Washington plays, then Rinku goes out, but even Rinku will be needed at some point. So whoever goes out of the playing 11 needs to have a good communication that you are just left out of this game, but you will be part of the squad going forward.
All right, fair enough. Now, the minute Varun Chakravarthy came on, it would have eased any even slight doubts that Surya Kumar Yadav might have had, because you saw he just ran through the batting lineup. Surya didn't even give him a spell. He just took him off. He could have ended with more. But I guess the story here is looking at it from a larger picture. This was always going to be India as overwhelming favourites. But how good were Namibia in the first innings, especially? And we touched upon it in detail in our show. But to get that innings back from 120 for 2 at the 10 over mark, 86 for 1 in the power play, to keep India to 209 for 9, and as I point out, an extraordinary last 4 overs where India lost 5 for 26 and Erasmus 4 for 20. The Namibian story from this game?
Yeah, I think the game so far with the associate teams and how well they have performed, a lot of the good performers have been guys that are almost household franchise cricket names. I'd like to throw something out there. I think back to when I was a little younger trying to get into the West Indies team, and you had so much Tri-Nation series where it was a little tournament within itself. It brought then that tinkering, would you do a Jasprit Bumrah not bowling the power play in the first game of the Tri-Series to play out. And the associate nations play so much cricket against each other. It's like they've almost hit a ceiling. And then you see them go into franchise cricket, they blossom. So pound for pound, they have enough skill. But that's only the best 3 or 4. How can you now expand that to make a team challenge at this level? I think you can have that if Australia tours South Africa, Namibia jumps over. If West Indies tour England, Ireland jump over. So I know, and I've been privy to being a kind of a shared tour with England and Ireland and the West Indies, popping between both to do individual series. But can we make more smaller tournaments or Tri-Series to ensure that the smaller nations get the chance to play against some of the bigger nations as a unit, and not just be exposed individually when they go to the respective franchise tournaments?
I mean, I've always for once thought India is a team that can easily send its A teams, or its the thing with the senior nations is they tend to also send their A teams to other top teams. India travel to Australia, India in Australia play series, the England Lions play series, but India can certainly send the odd A series for a white ball fixtures against the Namibian side if they so choose, and that would be very competitive, as good as international quality side. So that's something that I've always thrown out there. Anything you'd like to add to it?
Yeah, I do agree, but nowadays what the board has been doing is, if India is travelling to England, they combine the A tour along with the senior team. to get the players enough practice, and they keep it before the main series starts. So the India A plays with the England Lions before the actual India-England series starts. So can you change that? Maybe occasionally you can. You can't do that throughout the year. But it's not a bad idea to send India A team to, say, Zimbabwe.
Well, India actually tours Zimbabwe internationally more than most other senior nations. Namibia is sort of where we're looking at. Zimbabwe is still full member. We're looking at Namibia and those sorts of teams. So I guess, certainly something for them to consider.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to talk about the incident in the first innings when Gerard Erasmus, standout bowler for Namibia. By the way, we've done a detailed breakdown of Erasmus's variations, his skill. That's on our mid-innings show, and Carlos and Puji were having great fun sort of breaking it down for us. But the incident was a curious one. He's bowled the final ball of the 8th over as a 25-yarder. We've seen a lot of bowlers tend to do that. Mark Watt and Krunal Pandya in the IPL, a lot of spinners in this World Cup have done it. And the umpire Raunak gave it a dead ball. Now, we thought at that time, we discussed it briefly on the mid-innings show, where Puji and Carlos got quite into detail about whether the umpire should be ready for that and all the advantages and disadvantages of bowling an extra ball, so vital in T20 cricket. But we heard later in the second innings from Ian Smith and Sunil Gavaskar on commentary that the clarification they gave us was that the umpire believed the batter was not ready. Now, Mr. Gavaskar rightly has had a follow-up, but the batter played a shot. So now that we've had more information, we would assume we have more clarity, but maybe we don't. What did you make of
I think
everything
we'll still have to look at the replay again. I mean, after seeing the replay, we'll be able to tell.
I think he just naturally played a shot. I don't think he retreated.
It wasn't the case of batter wasn't ready, was it?
No.
It was more
I
of
think this
umpire.
is a case of umpire is thinking batter may not be ready.
Yeah, but then the batter has to pull out. It's not the umpire who has to take that call, isn't it?
Well,
as per the law,
correct. Now the dead ball law covers the umpire's discretion almost entirely. There are a number of conditions as to why an umpire can signal dead ball, and there's a last point in law 20 which even says nothing. If something is not mentioned above, even then the umpire is within his rights to call for a dead ball. Now sometimes, let's say as a batter you're looking down and not up. Batter may not retreat. Right, he may not have the act of retreating, but the umpire will still call a dead ball, assuming yes, the batter is not ready. So that's an example I'm giving you where the umpire can decide in his decision whether the batter is ready or not. In this case, it's perhaps more confusing because Kishan has played a shot, but the umpire's already called the dead ball.
Yeah, it was Tilak who was on strike, I think.
Tilak, sorry.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I do agree that the umpire has the option to call it off, call it a dead ball. But on that occasion, it looked like umpire wasn't ready. I'm not trying to have a go at.
No, of course, it's human. It's fine.
But I still feel that better thing to say is that look, I wasn't ready. I couldn't see that ball from my peripheral vision. And next time I'll be ready, and then you can bowl the same delivery. But I still will continue with my argument that the bowler should have the right to bowl that delivery, because if he has to repeat that delivery, the batter is already ready. Because if he has already delivered that ball, he shouldn't be forced to bowl that again, because that is not in favor of the bowler.
I mean, who knows if that happened, like you rightly point out.
We were discussing earlier that what if the same thing would have happened yesterday in the game of
South Africa
Afghanistan, which went to super over, and it could be one delivery could be match deciding.
Yeah. All right. So that's Puji's view of it. As far as the other elements of the law that might have been called into question, as long as the bowler is delivering it ahead of the umpire, and the umpire stands usually 10 to 12 feet behind the stumps, that's almost 3 to 4 yards. Therefore, we call it a 24 or a 25-yarder. So it gives the bowler enough leeway, but he has to deliver it in front of the umpire. We saw on replays here that is what happened. So there was no issue with the legality of bowling the 25-yarder. And as Puji points out, subsequently Erasmus has bowled that ball and even got the wicket of Tilak. He's bowled it multiple times. So if the umpire has decided on your behalf that you're not ready, I wonder sort of what your 2 bits on it were.
Yeah, I was actually applauding him because there was a big long dialogue after Gerard bowled the last legal delivery, and it looked, obviously I'm not a lip reader or anything, but it looked as though the umpire was basically saying it wasn't allowed or he wasn't ready, and Gerard was basically saying, well, this is one of my deliveries. And ever since then I think he bowled maybe 2 or 3, one as you mentioned got the wicket of Tilak. So I thought, you know, I don't know what umpires look at. They've now taken away the crease and them having to look at the crease. So I suspect the umpire was looking at the batter saw something on the peripheral, see the ball come down, got a little bit of shock and was like, dead ball, only for then Hazard to say, no, this is a part of my arsenal, I do this, whatever. And then subsequently, as he was ready for it, he now knows he has to watch from a different angle when Hazard is bowling. So I thought that was it. So that kind of threw me off when he said the batter wasn't ready, because the batter played a shot and it wasn't like a forward defense, it was a full-fledged sweep. So I thought, if it was the case where you were caught out as an umpire, hold your hand up, you corrected it, it wasn't any major damage, and the game went on smoothly. But I think the batter not being ready is a little bit of a cop-out.
Okay, fair enough. There you have it. Yeah, as it turns out, sometimes it could be a familiarity factor. When you know Marquardt's going to come on, you're always looking for it. Perhaps umpire Tucker didn't expect that from Erasmus, and could be as simple as that. All right, but keep an eye out, because you're going to see a lot of these in 2020 cricket, and no game complicates stuff like this more than our beautiful game of cricket. I absolutely love it. All right, final word just generally on Ishan Kishan, who I missed out covering in the innings break show. But his form just continues, and we sometimes take for granted players in form, but he's only just found his way back, and it's amazing, Puji.
He was exceptional today. He's picking his areas. I mean, there were some loose deliveries which were almost on middle and leg stump, which is quite easy for him, but still to execute those sixes, I think he's in a great nick. So this will definitely boost his confidence, but at the same time there's a lot of clarity in his batting now. He knows which are his areas where he wants to dominate, where he wants to hit his sixes. Also, he's reacting to the ball very quickly. He's picking the right balls. So I think he's in a great nick. But also the next game, he shouldn't be feeling any more pressure, because when India plays Pakistan, again there's a lot of I wouldn't say hype about it. It is a big game for the Indian team, but at the same time, players needs to be relaxed, and Ishan is someone who doesn't take a lot of pressure. So if he bats normally, if he continues with his form, because his innings in the power play will be very crucial on a slow pitch, because if he gets going, it will give India a very good start. So I hope that he continues batting this way without thinking about what game he is playing.
61 of 24 for Ishan Kishan, including 5 sixes, 4 of those in the final over of the power play, 4 sixes on the trot. How hard or easy is that to do, Carlos Brathwaite?
Things we love, Raunak. The thing that I love about Ishan Kishan is his swing.
Yeah.
I think he has a very pure swing. So, I mean, mentally, I think the hardest thing about batting is to just stay in the moment and watch every single ball. But when he gets into his swing, he can access most parts of the ground. And one of the more difficult shots to play, and I see Rutherford play it, Hetmeyer play it, and Ishan Kishan as well, how they let the ball come onto the hip, and instead of hitting it square or in front of square, they almost use the pace and go behind square. So with fine leg, probably still not catching it, and with fine leg up is definitely 4 or 6. So you can only do that if you're watching the ball right onto your body and you have clarity of thought. But that pure swing that allows him to hit from behind square all the way to over point, remarkable. And once he doesn't lose that, and doesn't lose his timing on the slower pitches, as you say, that power play could be key. If you're thinking 160 may win you a game, and you can get 70 out the power play, then you only need 90 or 14 overs. And if you chop it down in bite-sized chunks like that, it makes it a lot less difficult to plan as a batting unit.
Also, I would still again like to go to that India-Pakistan game, and when Shaheen Afridi bowls against Ishan Kishan, because normally Ishan prefers the ball coming at him, balls which are pitched on, say, off stump, middle and leg. He loves those deliveries to play either on the leg side or even on the off side. But the moment the ball starts to go away from him, especially from a left arm seamer, that might challenge him a bit, and it will be interesting to see how he plays against Shaheen Afridi.
Yeah, final word on that. And Ishan Kishan brilliant, no Abhishek Sharma today, remember, so therefore an opportunity for Samson. And I just can't help but feel like if you look at the strange contrasting stories for both these players, where Kishan has actually leapfrogged Samson into the team, is now India's World Cup opener, but Samson gets a lease of life to another opportunity. 22 of 7, and he looks amazing. He looks like the Samson that we all remember, and we wonder, how has this guy not achieved more things? And he gets out, and you just feel again like why doesn't Sanju make the most of these opportunities? You know, maybe it's Namibia, due respect, even if he gets 60 of 30, but get the 60 of 30, you know, put yourself in that position. Maybe he's got to play Pakistan, maybe he will play if Abhishek's not fit in time, but do you ever sort of get that feeling like, why is Samson
this now, I think, is a watershed moment. Like, you draw a line here, because remember you spoke about being really clear with him and being really positive. I think to get the Ishan Kishan, to get the best Sanju Samson, it needs to be clarity of thought. So if you tell him, which is normally a slow start in the first 5 to 10 balls, as you mentioned, you want him to take care of those first 10 balls, but you actually got to 22 in those first 7 to 10 balls already. Was it the right shot? On reflection, was it the right shot? If it was the right shot, was it the right execution? And if the answer to both of those are yes, but you got out, water under the bridge. That then frees him up mentally to go and do something similar in the Pakistan game, and he might be 22 off 8, 9, 10, and then go on to make that 60 off 30. But I think if you come down hard on him now, don't get out, don't give away your wicket, and you drum home the negative, that is when he can take a backward step, internalize it, and then go back to the stodgy Sanju Samson, which we know when he's at his best, he's more free-flowing.
Yeah, I do agree with your point, but at the same time, it's just about he's getting enough opportunity, and in India, you don't get too many opportunities, and that's why I feel that he needs to make it count. I'm not saying that he needs to take more time, but he needs to score runs when he gets the opportunity, because there are a lot of players who are in line. Someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal, who is also an exceptional talent, even in T20 format. He is not part of the Indian team at the moment. So there are options, and Shubman Gill is again not part of the T20 squad. So there are plenty of options in India, and that's why I feel that whenever he gets this opportunity, he needs to make it count. He got off to a good start, but at the same time, as you were mentioning, did he play the right shot? And he has to ask himself, if he's trying to be positive, then try and go for a 6, because that was just a chip shot
where to deep
wicket. And it felt like he wanted to play towards the square leg, deep square leg, and there was a fielder at deep mid wicket. So I don't know whether he timed it really well, because of which it went to deep mid wicket. But I still feel that he will have to tell himself at some point that even runs are important. It's not just about the start, but even getting to 40-50 is important, because there are questions, and there have been a lot of questions around him. If the team management can back him, nothing like it. But the hard truth in India is that if you don't score runs, you always lose out your place in the playing 11.
But that's why I think language is important.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the same thing, but in my opinion, just in a different way. So even if you want him to score runs, I know you're big on your processes. What is the process to scoring runs? So yes, it's Namibia. And we're not disrespecting Namibia, but if you get off to a start against Namibia, Australia, Pakistan, whoever, one of the things that you want to do is really capitalize on the power play. So if I'm looking at that dismissal, looking at that shot, was that a negative shot? Did you just time it? Why didn't you just hit it?
Yeah.
So have the positive mindset.
Yeah.
Hit it for 6, like you just said.
Yeah.
Don't just time it, because from the time you get to, oh, I just timed it, or I just placed it, then that's the lazy option. If you're going to go big or go home.
Yeah.
So we're flooding his brain with positive things.
Yeah.
Not don't get out, not don't fail, not take your chance, because that makes you take a backward step. It's all about how can we be more positive, not more reckless, but more positive.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Very informative from both of you. I'm only a result-oriented guy. if he gets the 50 or 45, great. If he gets out of 20, I'm like, what are you doing, Sanju? Come on, make the most of this chance, man.
Yeah,
all right.
But he needs to be told, and I hope that the team management and the people around him are giving him the right information. But I think what we discussed here, he should be given that information.
Yeah, because I just think for players in his position, you're playing for a lot more than even just your place in this World Cup. I'm sure there'll be T20 World Cups come around very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, so the next one will be out in 2 years. India will start building for it. India will start picking squads according to it. You mentioned Jaiswal. There could be another keeper opener who might have a great IPL.
Suryavanshi.
Yeah, no, please wait.
No pressure, no pressure.
Wait. Yeah. But IPLs tend to change that, and just strong performances by Samson will keep his name in the hat. Otherwise, you almost feel like that line can be drawn anytime. All right. Anyway, So much for that. Samson might have another opportunity, which is a huge one if Abhishek Sharma does not recover in time. Let's take some of your questions before we wrap things up on our YouTube Live. Ace Snow says, power play bowling and batting against spin are the only two concerns left if we want to up our chances of winning the World Cup. Gentlemen, agree, disagree, partial agreement? That's what you said, batters against spin.
But not in the power play.
Okay.
I think batting against spin is a bit of a concern. That is something which Indian team will have to work on. I don't think they are too far behind in it, but that is something which they will have to discuss. It's not that it's a very poor performance, but it's an area of discussion within the dressing room that how can we get better to win more games, to have a better performance as a batting unit.
Anything on the power play bowling aspect? We have covered how India have obviously tried what may not necessarily be their plan A as far as power play bowling is concerned. But is that an area of concern at all?
I don't think you'll see against Pakistan what is best practice.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. What else do we have? Dr. Uday Singh says, the Indian team somehow just does not look convincing. They are not playing up to the pre-World Cup hype.
Pre-World Cup and World Cup is two different things though, isn't it?
Yeah, bilateral T20Is versus World Cups.
Yeah, you play
even
shots.
if you're playing against low-ranked opposition.
Flat tracks and I strongly believe in tournament play. There's certain things that you want to nail going through it. You want to know how you want to play, what's your best 11, and you want to have certain principles that win, lose or draw, you fall back to. But ultimately is a results business. So if you need to creep over the line and you get to semi-finals thinking we haven't played our best game yet, then that should excite you. Because if we do play our best game, we'll blow whoever out of the water.
Yeah.
So I think it's a results-oriented business, but you nail your processes, and if they can tick enough boxes over these last two games, chalk it up and move on.
Yeah, I'd like to also think that in bilateral T20Is, you're also playing against teams, and they too are trying stuff ahead of the World Cup. You know, New Zealand did play a full-strength team here; they were trying different things. But Namibia and the US are coming solely to put in their best game, pick their best
Also,
team.
the difference is in the pitch, because
Pitches, yes.
you're playing on flat pitches when you're playing bilateral series, and I also feel that there's a bit more pressure when you're playing the World Cup. There's hype around each and every game. There are people talking about the game, so there is pressure on players as well. But it's not just about the performance. I think if there are some hurdles in first couple of games, I don't think it's bad for the Indian team, because as you move on into the main games, you have the chance to improve on your game, work on your game, try and get better. And in this format, the quicker you learn, better you become. So I don't think it's a big concern, but that is something which should be discussed in the dressing room. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think they're also so confident about the abilities of Varun Chakravarthy right now with the ball. I mean, there are a few comments on Varun. Was denied a fifer today, but it just looks like Chakravarthy is such a reliable or a banker, and that's a dangerous thing to say for a bowler in T20 cricket, because you never know when it's not your day. But Varun Chakravarthy, is he living up to all the pre-World Cup hype? Let me put it that way. He just seems impossible to get away.
I think he is brilliant, not just before World Cup, but overall if you look at his bowling in last couple of years, he has been bowling really well. He has understood his game really well. There was some injury concern before some time, but now he has been working on his fitness as well. So overall I think he's living up to what's expected out of him, and I don't think there's any concern. But again, in a T20 format, you can have bad days, so you just need to be prepared that there might be a bad day. If he gets a bad day, he just I hope that there are people around him who is telling him that you might have a bad day, because someone like Rashid Khan, who is one of the best T20 bowlers, he has been, if you look at his bowling in last 1.5 2 years, he hasn't been bowling up to his expectations. So there might be a time in this World Cup where Varun hasn't bowled at his best, but still he is one of the most important player in Indian bowling lineup when it comes to our spin bowling.
Okay, well, curious to see whether Kuldeep Yadav gets the game, which is something we touched upon with Varun when they play Pakistan next. Big one, that next one, but we've got a few days before that. I'd like to finish with Namibia though, because it was a really good first outing for them. And do Namibia, have they shown enough promise to perhaps say that they have an upset in them for the rest of the league stage?
Well, I mean,
well, when I say upset, there can only be one other team.
Yeah, if they beat the
Pakistan.
US,
yeah.
Would you call that an upset? If Namibia beat?
Well, I would like to
Pakistan?
think, can they take something from this World Cup? Could they win a group game if not more? from what you've seen today? Bowling plans we touched upon mid-show were very good towards the end. Good Yorkers, etc.
Yeah, I don't think they got enough firepower to beat
Sure.
Pakistan.
Yeah.
I think the Namibia USA game would be a
Yeah.
cracking one,
Yeah.
and whoever wins that game gets that something to take away
Take
from the
away
World
from-
Cup.
yeah.
Well, the good thing is that the Namibia USA game is the one on the same day as the India Pakistan game. So that's the appetizer on the 15th, and then of course you've got the main course. And I think 15th is also the day that the West Indies play Nepal in the morning.
Yeah, don't remind me about that. That's the one that keeping me up at night.
Oh, come on, you beat England, so you're sitting
But
pretty at the
they
top.
have won 2 out of 2, so I think more likely they will qualify for the Super 8.
Yeah.
And Italy had a great day today as well, so that's covered as well. Thank you very much, Cheteshwar Pujara, Carlos Brathwaite. It was a fascinating pair putting you two together. I'm just watching and admiring it. I'm loving it. I hope you enjoyed it, Carlos. It was your first day in
100%.
studio with us.
Yeah.
And Puji, it's always lovely to have you back on ESPN Cricket Info, so thank you very much. And we look forward to your company and your thoughts again soon on our platform. Thank you for being part of the conversation. It's just going to continue to get more and more interesting as we approach the pointy end of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Do join us tomorrow, same time, around 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock's the game. 6:30 is when we'll be live with ESPN Cricket Info Timer. We'll have a special guest in the house and we can have more detailed conversations on associate cricket and the future, etc. So don't miss it. Look forward to your company then. Until from all of us, it's goodbye.